Yeah, that is. Okay. Awesome. Yes, it is. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Here, you take the lead on this.
All right. Hi everyone, welcome to my first video with Chloe from DissociaDID. Do you want to explain exactly what your channel is all about?
Yes, of course. So my channel is called DissociaDID because it's about dissociative identity disorder. Dissociative identity disorder is the disorder that I live with. Some of you may know it as multiple personality disorder, which is the old name for it. It's the same illness, the same disorder, but it essentially means that you live with more than one person in one body. It's a childhood trauma-based disorder. It's caused by severe or repeated trauma in childhood and can only be caused in childhood. It's also a dissociative disorder, so on my channel we talk about how that works, what the psychology is in the brain, what the physical impacts are on the brain and the body, and also the stigmas that surround it and how we live with it.
So the reason that I think that it's so important for us to collaborate is because I work in mental health and finding solutions for people that are seeking help and how to create accessibility and scalability for treatment. And then Chloe here is working on taking away the stigma and ensuring that people are comfortable actually going out and seeking the help that is available. So why do you think it's important for us to even talk about mental illness?
Okay, so mental illness is one of the biggest stigmas in the world. So many people are uncomfortable talking about mental health. In a lot of countries, it's a completely taboo topic, especially the gap between male and female in binary genders. Men suffer from higher likelihoods of attempted suicide because they're not encouraged to talk about their mental health. Some people view it as weak. I've heard a lot of people say, you've got no reason to be depressed, or like, why are you anxious? Don't be silly. Or, you know, oh, I have chronic fatigue. You need to get your sleeping patterns right. There is so much misinformation out there that is perpetuating stigma. And the stigma is what's stopping people from reaching out and also what's stopping people from getting help. It affects you no matter what you work in, whether you're a doctor, stigma can still affect you, whether you're a patient, whether you want to be a patient, or whether you feel like you have no mental illness issues at all. 1 in 4 people will suffer from a mental illness in their life. That's about, oh my gosh,
that's a quarter of the entire world. Yeah. That's a scary number. The scary part about that is not the fact that we're going to face it, the fact that we don't talk about it, so we make it feel like that 25% of the population shouldn't bring it up. When did you learn that you have DID? Like how long before you were going through so much that you were diagnosed? Gosh. Were you misdiagnosed beforehand?
Yes, I was. I've been through a couple of diagnoses. Some of them are correct. Others were just kind of leading up to the diagnosis of DID. DID is essentially a form of complex PTSD. It's a trauma disorder, but I first started noticing that things weren't right, and I had no idea about DID at this point, no idea about multiple personality disorder as it was known in the early 90s and before. I remember being 8 years old when I first experienced dissociating and feeling really weird. I remember I was going to get in the car to go to school and thinking, am I dreaming? I'm dreaming. This is a dream right now. And going to reach the car door handle and thinking, my hand's going to go right through that. And being kind of not connecting with the world around me. And I remember that because I remember looking back on it and thinking, was I dreaming? Was that a dream? That's really weird. And then from there came the heavy periods of depression, losing time. And the older I got, and as soon as I moved away from my home, the more intense these symptoms became until I completely lost control of my life. I lost time. I didn't know what was happening to me. I felt like I was possessed. I was reaching out to help. I was reaching out for help from advice lines, doctors, and nobody knew what was going on. Nobody could help me, and I lost most of my friends. I lost my education. I was kicked out of university for being a danger to myself and others, and then denied re-entry into that university once I got my diagnosis of DID.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
even
shocking.
though, yeah, it's bad.
Yeah.
Even though they were told by a lawyer, you're breaking the law by doing this. They had my doctors say it's in her best interests to go back to school. She's ready, she's having therapy, she's healthy. We had my diagnostician confirm this, we had a psychiatrist confirm this, and they still said, with no bounds, no grace or anything like that, she's a danger to herself and others. And that's why I haven't been able to go back to university. That's stigma. That is stigma acting in places where you wouldn't think that that would happen in England in the 21st century.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is why we need to be doing what we're doing, because it can affect anyone. I had no idea that I could possibly have this disorder. I didn't know anything could have happened in my past, but...
Because that's what this disorder is there. It's there to protect you from knowing what happened to you, so that you don't have to deal with that trauma as a child. You can live out a normal life until you're ready to deal with it.
And that can come out of nowhere. And that does happen with a lot of mental illnesses. It seems to come out of nowhere. So I do think that it's really important to encourage people to learn how to take care of themselves, to learn how to reach out for help, to learn where to get the best help, and to learn to accept other people, and that even if you have the same disorder, that doesn't mean that it's going to present in exactly the same way just because you have it too.
Absolutely. How did your friends and family react when they found out the news? Were they all very supportive, or were they, I don't believe this?
I lost a lot of friends. My family weren't so sure at first. I don't really talk about my family, but I can say now that my family is supportive. Some of them don't understand that. Well, okay. It can be difficult for someone who's known you your whole life, and this goes with friends as well. I used to have lots and lots of friends, and now I know that a lot of those groups of friends were actually made by other alters, and I remember thinking, why is this person acting so friendly with me? I don't talk to them that much, but actually they were very close to another alter. A lot of those people I lost when I had my diagnosis given to me after the breakdowns, thinking I was going crazy, feeling like I was possessed, losing time, not having any control over my body that I knew of. Everybody was scared, and especially when the diagnosis came and I was able to say, I know what this is, I'm okay, I'm not going crazy, this is dissociative identity disorder. People thought of what they've seen in the media, because that's what most people will jump to is, okay, what representations of this have I seen?
Jekyll and Hyde.
Yeah, and the recent horror movie Massive Split. Everywhere it's portrayed as something that's dangerous, or something that doesn't exist outside of a movie theatre, something to do with horror and supervillains or superheroes, something that doesn't really exist in the real world. Some of the friends who decided that they wanted to stick by me have asked to my face, like, if I said I'm feeling switchy, so I'm about to switch to another personality and I won't have any memory when they come forward, they would say things like, okay, is it someone I need to be scared of? Are they going to hurt me? Do I know the beast? Which one of you is the murderer? Like, in all seriousness, genuinely concerned that I might actually murder them, like people I've known my whole life. So not everybody understands, and that's why I wanted to start DissociaDID, because when I was struggling there was no information that I knew of. I couldn't find any help, nobody understood, and no professionals understood. So I wanted to help educate people who not only may have DID, but professionals who may work with people who may have trauma disorders, people who may have friends, family members, co-workers with DID, because it's not a rare disorder. It affects 2% of the population, which is more common than bulimia.
Borderline personality disorder, everyone gets diagnosed with it. It's ridiculous. But
and that's a hard disorder to live with as well. My partner has that, and it's awful to see them struggle. But so many people don't take these disorders seriously. Like, some people like to have their pencil cases well organized, and they're like, oh, I'm so OCD. That's not funny.
No,
it's really not funny. You know, people end their lives over having OCD.
Yeah, it's a terrible disorder. Basically, the reason that I found Chloe is because, and everyone else, is because I was absolutely frantic reaching out for my sisters. So my sisters have been struggling with a mental health disorder. They've become completely debilitated by it. So they have not been able to find help in the United States. When they have tried, people are misdiagnosing them, and just to protect their privacy, I'm not going to state specifically what's going on or why. That's up to them to share when they're ready. But it was so challenging for me to find any type of support or help online and in the real world. And so that's when I discovered Chloe's channel, and I would watch it with my mom and my sisters, and it's been like such a blessing to have her, because seeing someone that went through something so difficult and turned it into a positive. But it's not like, oh, I'm fixed, and because in America we're used to, if you can't sleep, take a pill. If you feel bad, if you're sad, take a pill for it. If you need to wake up, take a pill. And so to be comfortable enough to say, hey, I have DID, and this is a lifelong thing that I'm constantly dealing with, and there's no fix for it, but it's manageable. And so I think that a lot of people are so disconnected. If I'm on my phone and all of a sudden the page is not loading, within 3 seconds I'm frustrated, because I'm so used to getting everything right away. Everything is fixed right away.
You want instant gratification.
Exactly. And so I think that we need to kind of take a step back and teach people that it's not about fixing everything, it's about being able to have control over what's going on, and the things that you can't control, to be able to at least manage them and be okay with that.
Because there are positive outcomes for any disorder. There's no disorder when, if you're diagnosed, that 100% means, unless of course it's like a cancer or something like that, in which case the stakes are higher, but there is no mental health disorder that automatically means that your life is over and that there's no help for you. Because that's kind of what I thought when I was diagnosed. I thought, what? That's it then. And my life did change completely. I wasn't able to finish education because I wasn't allowed to, and I was, a A-star student. I was always top of the class. I thought I was going to be an academic. That was taken away from me. I thought that I was gonna, grow up into like a 20-year-old who was really fit and could, do lots of exercise and things like that. I now know I have chronic fatigue. I can't do that either. But just because your life isn't turning out the way that you thought it would doesn't mean that it's completely hopeless. I think we're both doing things now that we didn't expect that we could 10 years ago. Really?
Yeah, look at me now.
That's amazing.
One day I'm gonna DJ.
I'd see your show.
I feel like I'm becoming a player in this entire industry. That's slowly one of many, because there's a lot of people that, like Chloe, that are trying to push change. And so as long as we all continue to do that, a lot of people think, oh, my voice doesn't matter, my vote doesn't matter. But we live in a world now where we're all so connected that putting up a video, even if one person watches it and is able to find comfort, like I found in Chloe's videos.
That's one person's life you've changed. Like,
that's one person's life that you could have saved. That's one person that could have done something to themselves to harm themselves, and maybe they wouldn't have woken up in the morning.
This is one of the things I said in the first video I ever posted.
Really?
Yeah, I was like, I think I said word for word, because people send me clips of this all the time, and it was like, I don't know if doing this is selfish or unnecessary or just something ridiculous to do, but I said, I think I have a voice, and it's a voice that maybe not as many people have, and even if this comes to nothing, I want to try and do something with it.
Yeah.
So even if you think that, you don't matter, it doesn't matter how lost you are, it doesn't matter how little control you have over your life or how dark it seems, you can control this. You just need to learn how, and you need to wait for the right time, because this is not a game of speed.
Absolutely not. And when you don't get things right away, it can feel like nothing's gonna change. One of the things that I was telling Chloe earlier is that my sister was told that she's terminally unique because anytime someone offers her help, she says that, oh, other people have experienced this, or for a lot of people this tends to be ... She'll kind of step in and say, no, my case is different, or you don't understand. And so that term coined for her as, okay, well, you're terminally unique because, and that's a really bad thing, because when you say, no, it works for everyone else except me, that means like I'm hopeless, there's no point, and nothing can save me. And that's the worst thing that you can put on yourself. A lot of us like to think that we're special and that we're gonna be big, or we're gonna make a big difference, and that our life is significant. But it can also be the opposite way, where it can be, I'm so unique in this that no one can help me and no one can save me, and that's when it becomes the opposite end of the spectrum, which is very, very damaging.
And something else that's important to keep in mind as well, now that there's more of a community out here, some people find a lot of solace in the community, and we've made a community over on our channel that's helped a lot of people, but also all these people making videos, all these people telling you our life stories and why we do what we do. So many people will look at that and think, that's not what my disorder's like, or even, that treatment didn't work for me, this didn't work for me, I'm lost, I'm hopeless, and I felt like that before as well.
Exactly.
Just because you have the same disorder or you're trying the same medicines doesn't mean that you're a lost cause. Every disorder, even if it's under the same name, is different for every person because you have a unique brain. You've had a unique childhood, unique friends, a unique family. You've grown and experienced something that no one else will have experienced in the same way, even if you're an identical twin.
Exactly.
Everything is going to affect you in a slightly unique way. Just because your disorder looks slightly different from someone else who has a disorder with the same name doesn't mean that you're unsavable or unhelpable, or that you can't progress in life. Even if you're considered to be terminally unique, that doesn't mean that you're alone.
Because terminally unique is something that you put on yourself. It's the moment that you say, okay, maybe I do have the same disorder that others have, and maybe this has worked for this person and it's not working on me, but maybe I should keep trying other things that have like trial and error, keep crossing it off the board. Once you can step into that mindset, it's just really, really hard to do when it's been so long and you've been constantly shuffled around and you haven't found the right doctor or the right specialist. Because finding someone that understands and has experienced cases that are similar can be really tough, especially depending on the area that you live in. So it's not impossible, but it can be difficult.
And it's so important to keep fighting. It's so worth it. Like, I've been in places where I thought that I didn't know I could be in such agony every day. I didn't know that I could feel like that. I didn't know anyone could survive feeling like that. Why do I have to feel like that? Why should I keep going? There is no point. I'm tired, I'm hurt, I feel abandoned, I feel like a lost cause. I am so glad that I kept going. And it's so important that you keep going because everyone has something to give. If you're struggling, your struggle might be able to help someone else. But the most important thing isn't that, you might be able to help someone else. It's that you deserve to be here and you deserve to feel good and you deserve to have a good life. It's worth fighting for.